Hello, we're gonna get started. Thank you for those of you joining us live, and if you are catching the recording, thank you for checking it out. Today we're going to talk about the Guatemala retreat, and I have Michelle here with me, and she is our retreat leader for Guatemala. I'm Andrea. I am the administrative coordinator at Traverse Journeys. And Michelle, do you want to introduce yourself briefly?
Sure. Hi, good afternoon. I'm Michelle, and I'm from Texas originally, Austin. And I've lived here in Guatemala for the last 15 years and at Lake Atitlán since 2012. So it's definitely my home, and I really enjoy leading retreats and teaching yoga, among other work that I do, and bringing people to this beautiful spot on the planet.
Oh, I love that. Before we get started, I want to tell you about Traverse Journeys. We are a tour operator and we run trips in 25 different international countries. All of our trips focus on our core ethos, which is people, planet, and purpose. The first one is people, and that just means that all of our trips focus on our interactions with the people that we encounter, our conversations with them, and the impact that that has on our trips. We aim to keep money in currency that we spend on our trips in the local economy and promote positive experiences, not only for the people there, but for you and everyone you encounter, the communities you interact with, to be transformative, not only for us, but for them as well. The piece for planet is that we aim to minimize our carbon footprint, and that means leaving no trace, minimizing our plastics, minimizing waste production. We encourage people to use reusable bottles along the trip to try not to minimize your transportation to and from. And we utilize local transportation companies and try to get everyone in the same van or whatnot together to minimize those carbon footprints too. And our purpose, that just means that every trip that we have a local community partner and they work for nonprofits, and we give back 1% of our sales to our community partner on every trip. For Guatemala, we have a specific partner. In other countries, it's a different partner. It's always a local person that runs a nonprofit. These people are doing impactful work for the community, and we want to give back to the local economy, find out what kind of work that they're doing, and create a transformative experience along the trip, knowing that we are leaving the place better than when we found it and paying respect to the destination and the community. So let's take a trip to Guatemala. Guatemala is, the capital is Guatemala City. The population is 17 million people, and the official language is Spanish, although there are 22 other Mayan languages and other indigenous languages. The currency is the Quetzal. Am I saying that right?
Quetzal. Quetzal.
Quetzal. I always pronounce these things wrong. And the airport is in Guatemala City. It's La Aurora, and the airport code is GUA. Michelle, do you want to add anything here? I know because you live there.
Yeah, it's just that the majority of the population is indigenous Mayan. And so it's a very beautiful culture with a lot of ancient teachings and traditions that you will get a taste of on the retreat.
That sounds so really cool. So our retreat is held at Lake Atilian and
Atitlan.
Atilan. Thank you. Do you want to talk about the location? Because we
Yeah,
have a brand new retreat center that we'll be using.
this is true. And it's actually in Santa Cruz. The name of the town is Santa Cruz, La Laguna.
Mm.
and it is also on the north side of the lake. It's only accessible by boat, so it is really quiet. There's no motor traffic that you can hear at the retreat center. You could hear boats, like the boat motors, but no vehicles. And so it's a really beautiful center. It's been there since 2000. And so it's very, very well established, a really wonderful staff of kitchen and housekeeping and gardeners, many of whom have worked there for a long time. So it's like a family feeling. And it's just a very high quality place with beautiful accommodations, gorgeous yoga studio spaces, indoor and outdoor. And it really, it's been a retreat center for so long that you can really feel the vibe immediately when you walk on property of peace and, transformation in a way. Depending on how sensitive you are, you might feel that right away.
That sounds really lovely.
Hmm. So
So,
Guatemala has quite a beautiful landscape, and the lake itself has three volcanoes. They're
mm,
not active. The ones here at the lake are inactive, so don't worry. But they're beautiful, and they're right on the lake on the south shore. So it's from our retreat center. It's on the lakefront. You can swim if you like that, or kayak, or paddleboard. And there's just a gorgeous view of the lake and the three volcanoes.
mm, okay. The climate and geography there, most of our trips are in the spring, but we are hosting our next retreat in the summer. So are the temperatures a little bit warmer for summer weather?
No, the only two seasons here are dry season and wet season. But all year round, it's very temperate. They call it the land of eternal spring because it's very spring-like all year with the temperature. So late June, early July is our retreat date, and this is part of the rainy season, but typically it's very sunny and warm in the mornings, and
Mhm.
then sometimes it will rain in the late afternoon or in the evening, usually just for an hour or two. And
Mhm.
so it's quite refreshing. One thing to note though is that we're kind of a higher elevation than maybe you're used to. And so it's great to bring layers because it gets chilly at night. And by chilly, I mean like 60, 65. But it's good to have like a, shawl or sweater that you can wear in the night and in the morning. And then it gets sunny and warm, like 75, 80, usually max.
That
Yeah,
sounds nice. That's how
it's
it
quite
sounds.
it's quite lovely. And I'm very spoiled by the weather here.
Mm. Do you want to take us through some of the history?
Sure. So yeah, there's the ancient Maya were here in Guatemala long ago, and in Mexico as well. And then there was the colonization back in the 16th century from Spain. So that kind of messed up a lot of things, but also brought in a lot of different cultures and different imports, right?
Hmm.
So Guatemala became independent in 1821, so it became its own republic. And there was a pretty big civil war in the 20th century that ended officially with a peace accord in 1996. So relatively recent, but well, that's already been almost 30 years now. But yes. And the current president is Arevalo, and he is actually intellectual. He's a smart man and he's a liberal. So this is a very unusual president for Guatemala because traditionally they've been conservative and not as intellectual as he is. So I
Hmm.
think it's moving in a good direction.
Okay. So Guatemalan values are collectivist culture. So we're thinking of we versus me, It's very family orientated, relationship orientated, very good emphasis on group identity in the family. Um, and can you tell us more about the indirect communication? No.
Yes, so here in Guatemala, the Mayan people especially, but really all the people, and the non-Mayans are called Ladinos. They are mix of Mayan and Spaniard or European. And they're lighter skinned. Uh, they don't like to say no. They don't say no, even if they mean no. So it's always like, sí, claro, of course, yes. But sometimes it's a no. So I can help you navigate that on the retreat. But it happens in India too. It's like certain cultures, they just don't want to tell you no.
Mhm.
So it's that's what it means by not a direct no, typically.
Okay, that's interesting and good to know.
Mhm.
And so what are they doing in this picture? Is this one of the Mayan ceremonies?
This is the Mayan fire ceremony preparation. So it's a beautiful fire ceremony where we make an offering. This is the shaman setting up the offering, where it's with flowers and copal incense, candies, different. It depends on the day because it's a calendar. It's a ceremony based on the sacred Mayan calendar. So based on what day it is in that calendar, they set up the offering with different items of flowers, sugar, honey, incense, and it's all about gratitude and making offerings to the different energies of the day of the sacred Mayan calendar. And each one of us has an energy that we carry based on our birthday. So I like to at least tell people what their energy is before the ceremony so that they can connect with that when it comes up.
Hmm. Oh, that sounds really neat. So Mayan roots is very deeply rooted in the cultures in Guatemala, and then there are some Catholic traditions and Spanish influence and
Definitely.
literature and the arts that we have here for you to read. So why retreat in Guatemala? The number one reason is nature, adventure activities, ecotourism, the nourishing food, and this indigenous wisdom from the Mayans. So our Traverse experience, we stay at boutique, eco-friendly, and locally run accommodations. So that's part of our people, planet, purpose ethos is that we do that. All of our transportation is included within the country. We include a retreat leader and local host. Immersive cultural experiences are all done mindfully and respectfully to the culture and the climate of the country that we're visiting. And we provide you with local organic foods at all our meals, and we give back to the community. Like I said earlier, we give 1% back to our local community partner, and we also keep the groups very small. So the max that you'll see is 10 to 16 people. So thinking inverse of as the converse of that would be bus tours. We keep this very small and more family orientated in our small little group. So we'll take you on a journey of Guatemala, and Michelle can tell us about the experience going on a retreat.
Well, yeah, retreat is very a precious gift and an opportunity to slow down and yeah, step out of your daily life routine. And here in Guatemala, the great teaching is slowing down, no rush, and patience, heart and being heart-centered. This is the Maya, this is how they are. So they are a great model for us Westerners or people from North America who tend to be rushing, tend to be busy, tend to be fast. I think it's beautiful to see how people arrive and then are able to slowly slow down throughout the week and slow down their pace. Via Sumaya is ideal for this because it's got a lot of hammocks and courtyards and spaces for rest and relaxation.
Mhm. And so it's a lakefront lodge, and it is including also a pool, a hot tub, a spa, and a sauna, which is really neat. They have a vegetarian buffet there, all locally and organic food. The rooms are really spacious. Every room has a private bathroom, and you can book double occupancy, or you can get your own room by booking my own room when you go to reserve. And we'll have space for yoga and healing and spiritual wellness traditions. So this is an example of a room with two twin beds.
Hmm?
And here are some of the spaces. Like this is in the bottom, you'll see our dining area. And then this space up to the left, that's where we'll be doing yoga and wellness things, right, Michelle?
That's the yoga space. That's called Tara Temple. And so it's got the white Tara. Via Samaya is non-denominational, and you'll see Buddhist art and Christian art throughout the center. It's very open to all traditions and spiritual paths. But yeah, it's a beautiful studio space, which is got the view of the lake and the volcanoes as well.
Mhm. I'll take you through some of our activities. So you can do a variety of activities throughout the day. Do you want to touch more on this, Michelle?
Yeah, there's, kind of something for everyone if you're into adventure. Um, there's these lake activities, hikes. Um, there's also a spa, as we mentioned. There's quite a full service spa at Via Sumaya, which you can take advantage of if you like, with many different types of body work, as well as astrology readings, tarot readings, all different things. And usually at the beginning of the week, there's a little orientation where you get to meet some of the people who are offering these services and sign up for appointments if you wish.
Mhm. I think I can hear someone on your end there with you.
Sorry, I'm in my office, but he's done.
Ah, okay. And then these are some of the things that we'll be going out and doing. Can you tell us about these pictures?
So, this, I think it's in San Juan. We go to San Juan La Laguna on one of the days, which is a beautiful village across the lake, just about a 20-minute boat ride from our
Mhm.
retreat center, 25 minutes. And it's got great shopping, a lot of like this type of stuff I bought in San Juan. It's natural cotton and natural dye that they use for their weavings. And there's a lot of women's cooperatives for the weaving. So it's very fair trade. And San Juan has a lot of street art, a lot of murals, and just it's very picturesque and photogenic.
Mhm.
And
So
here we have another.
some of our activities include cultural immersion, and you're there for all of these, right?
Yeah, so I'm the group leader, but I'm the yoga teacher, but I'm also the trip lead in this case since I live here. So I do both roles. And I also interpret the Mayan fire ceremony from Spanish into English. So this is another view of the Mayan fire ceremony with the spiritual guide. And we also do a wonderful cacao workshop one day on the trip where we go to San Marcos, another village, and actually go into a local women's collective, into a home, and they show us how they make the cacao, and we get to practice or try it, like try the process, and then taste it. And it's a very authentic, a special experience for people because it's really meeting the women and their families. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sounds lovely. Mm.
So this is actually these photos are from the previous retreat center that we were at, but Via Samaya also has a sauna and or actually two. It has one that's for ceremony and one that's electric for it, just if you want to get an hour in your and sweat. Um, then I study the sacred Mayan calendar. So Tomas, the spiritual guide, he offers short readings for people who are interested. Usually after the ceremony, we can set that up like 15 to 20-minute personal readings. And I offer 1.5 hour, like more in-depth personal readings with a PDF report and stuff for people who are interested in going deeper into learning about their Mayan sign and their personality based on the Mayan calendar.
Mm-hmm. So here's a shot of a group doing yoga. This is the space, yes, that will be doing yoga.
Well, this is one of the spaces. The other space was the Tara Temple, which was indoor. This is
Mm-hmm.
the outdoor, one of the outdoor platforms at Via Sumaya, which is lakefront, as you see, and it is a lovely space, and we can definitely practice there sometimes, depending on the weather and depending on the group's desires.
Okay, sounds good.
And then our local nonprofit that we support is called Wellkind, and they focus on reforestation projects and community building through that. So this is a picture of the farm tour that is part of the experience of the retreat, where you'll learn about permaculture and also about the work of Wellkind.
And here's some more information about Wellkind.
Yes, so it's a very much a grassroots organization that works with local Mayan leaders on their team, as well as a couple of Americans who founded it. Um, and it's just a very inspiring organization because it's so integrated into the local communities. And they've expanded beyond Sununa now into other areas around the lake and around the region. So it's a really inspiring, beautiful project to witness and to contribute to.
Nice. So now we'll tell you a little bit about the food that you can expect to be eating on the retreat. A lot of things are corn-based, like tortillas, tamales. I don't know how to pronounce these other words.
Chuchitos, chuchitos and antojitos. They're local foods. They're all corn
Oh,
based. A lot of times they have chicken, but they can be made vegetarian as well.
okay.
At Via Sumaya, the menu is quite international, actually. So there's like Indian food one day, there's Mexican, it's more of a buffet with
Mhm.
Guatemalan foods, but also international foods.
Okay, so everyone has an option whether they want to experience only Guatemalan cuisine or if they want to switch it up and get a little bit of different things. But these are basically like the types of foods that are available there and that Guatemalans eat, right?
Yes, these are the typical foods for the local indigenous community, and there's many wonderful tropical fruits. And the coffee and cacao are also very ubiquitous.
Mm. I
The
see a
cacao
few
drink.
fruits
Yeah.
here that I really enjoy when I come down to the Caribbean areas.
Yes, some of them are like totally foreign to people because they're not really popular in the US, but they're quite delicious and fun to try.
Yeah. So this is more focused on our itinerary. All of our trips, we offer vegan and vegetarian options. They're easy to accommodate, and we can even accommodate gluten-free options. So people aren't limited in their dietary restrictions at all.
Correct.
And do you want to give any travel tips for Guatemala? I think the best time to go is either the fall or the spring for most of our trips. Is that the same for Guatemala?
Well, I mean, I prefer the low season. So high season, tourist season is from November till March or April, typically,
Mhm.
when it's dry. Then from May to October is low season for tourism. There's still tourists, there's still travelers, but just less people. So places tend to be less crowded, and the weather, it's very lush, because of the rain. Things are lush. There's a lot of flowers blooming and greenery, versus in the dry season, it can get a bit dusty, sometimes. Um, it's also beautiful all year round, but we'll be there. The retreat is during yeah, it's end of June, beginning of July. So it's part of this what's called the canicula, which is the summer break within the rainy season. So it tends to be sunnier than like May. May and October are the rainiest usually.
Okay, so it sounds like we're finding the sweet spot of when to come.
Yes, exactly. And it's a safe, it's just like anywhere in the world. You have to be smart. You have to be aware of your surroundings. But the lake is very safe, and it's very, been decades since tourism came to Guatemala. So they're very well established in this field.
Mhm. So to get there and back, you would fly into Guatemala City. For our itinerary, you want to arrive by 2 o'clock, and then we'll take you all together in a private van over to the retreat center, and we'll shuttle you back on your departure day.
Yes, and the only difference here is that, and I'm sorry that I didn't review this in advance, but it's very similar. It's just we'll take a van to Panajachel and then get on a boat, which is about a 10-minute boat ride to the
Mm.
private dock of the retreat center.
Right, right. Okay. So if you want to join us in Guatemala, our trip dates are June 28th to July 3rd. If you book by February 15th, you can take $200 off. When you book, there'll be a spot to put the code, and the code is Guatemala Live. And you can also find us on Instagram and Facebook and see what we're up to and look at other posts that we've posted about Guatemala on there and some of our other destinations. The trip page is traversejourneys.com/trips/Guatemala/retreat. And you can find all the details about the trip there. And we also have some more events coming up. So tomorrow, February 5th, we'll be having another meeting like this to talk about Croatia. And in 2 weeks, on Wednesday, February 19th, we'll be talking about Greece. And you can register for those on Eventbrite or find links on our trip pages. So if you go to the Croatia trip page, you'll see a link there. And on our Greece trip page, also a link there. Did I freeze for a second?
You're good. I
Okay.
want to go. I want to go to those places.
Yeah. And we'll also send a follow-up email. So make sure that you have my email is admin@traversejourneys.com, and Ashley, our owner, is hello@traversejourneys.com. Make sure you have those in your safe sender list so that you are receiving our emails. And then if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. You can email either myself or Ashley. And you can also message us on our social channels. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much. I hope to see you on the retreat.